Joining us now is Cora Johnson and Grace Cook here with our Kindred chapter of our FFA interviews here for out the FFA chapters in the local area. And first things first, let's start with the senior in Cora Johnson. Cora, just kind of what have you learned from FFA and how did you get into the chapter there in Kindred?
So my involvement started with my ninth grade ag teacher. She really pushed me to join a lot of the competitions, and through that, I've learned like so many different things. FFA is such a broad area. There's so many different activities or like competitions you can join. So it really taught me a bunch of leadership skills and like developmental skills. And it also taught me how to network with people because through this you get to meet so many different people. And yeah, it's a great life skill to have.
Was FFA something you ever thought that you would be joining, kind of when you went through middle school? Did you hear about the program? Did you hear any family or some of your friends ever doing it?
No, I never really did because my family's always been like super big in like sports and whatnot. So that was always just like on the mind for the focus. But yeah, like I knew of it because some of the older officers would come to like our elementary school and do some fun things with like the kids there. But yeah, and then I got to my ninth grade A class, and then like I it was a whole new world I was introduced to.
Grace, same question that we talked with Cora. Just kind of how did you get involved with FFA? How'd you hear about it?
So my parents were big into FFA when I was younger. My dad was a state officer, so it was always in my family, and I always heard about it. And when I was younger, I'd help out with our Kindred contest CD, which is coming up pretty soon here in February. But I just remember just being surrounded by a sea of blue jackets, and I think it was so cool. So then, as soon like seventh grade year, as soon as I could get into it, I did all that I could in FFA. I started with some dairy handling at our state convention, and then livestock judging, which is a winter CD, which is what we're starting. And yeah, just as soon as I could, I jumped in, and now as a sophomore, second year as an officer. So yeah, it's just always been something that's been talked about in my family, and just something I always wanted to do. So
Yes, different kind of blue, but close to that Kindred blue that you have on with the jackets. With the particulars of the FFA being part of the family, how much do you still talk about it around the dinner table and just like on your everyday life here, Grace, with your parents being involved as well as you yourself now?
it is definitely a big conversation still. My parents are both on our Kindred FFA alumni, also called our boosters, and my mom's the president of that. So there's always something busy with FFA going around in our house. And my dad is the coach for our livestock judging team, so we have practices at our house. So I mean, it's always a discussion. There's always something going on with that. And as we're getting ready for our winter CDE contest here in Kindred, there's a big conversation in our house about planning and getting everything done. So it's still very much talked about around my family just every day.
Cora, just during your time with the FFA chapter in Kindred, what's been one or two memories that you enjoy the most? Is it the daily stuff that you're able to do within the Kindred community? Is it something at a district or a state level or beyond? Just what are some things with FFA that you've enjoyed the most?
One of my favorite like competitions that we have is during like our summer state convention. So that's usually the first week of June, and there we get to spend like 4 days up at the NDSU campus, and like usually 2 of those days we'll compete. I love like being able to be there, being able to engage with everyone, and also those two competitions. I participate in floriculture and nursery, so those are my two favorite competitions to participate in, and so that's always a great memory. And then also this past summer, I was able to go to the Washington Leadership Conference. Our boosters were like very gracious, and they were able to sponsor our trip there. So there we got to go to Washington D.C. and we got to tour the monuments. As well as develop our leadership skills. So those are probably two of my favorite memories.
Why should someone, Cora, join FFA if they've kind of thought about it in the past, or maybe they were going, I don't know if I really want to do it. What's a reason that they should, give FFA an opportunity?
I will always highly recommend FFA. It's just such a versatile organization. Like you can, if you want to, if you're good at talking to people, you can do egg sales and try and sell a product. If you love flowers, you can learn how to like make a corsage. And you don't even have to be like fully involved. Like you can just engage with your friends at like a local chapter meeting and like go paint a pumpkin or just do something fun like that. So it's just such a versatile organization, and you get to meet so many people, and like being able to learn to like talk to people and connect with others is just such an important life skill.
You're heading up to the University of North Dakota for PT. So is there anything from FFA that you're going to carry over with you, whether it's those personal relationships, the being able to just have a better communication standings, just kind of, is there anything from what you've learned in Kindred that you think you're going to use with you in college, or more importantly, the major that you're looking to get into here, Cora?
So being involved like as an officer, has really taught me like time management skills and really has helped me learn to like put things into action, like put plans into actions. And so that's definitely going to be helpful in college. And for PT, that's a lot of it. Like you get to develop plans and like figure out the best way to help people. So I'm hoping that like those two skills will help me up there.
For you, Grace, similar question that we talked with Cora just a few moments ago. Favorite thing that you've been a part of with the local FFA chapter in Kindred, whether it's at the local, state, or something in between. Kind of take us through one of your favorite memories or two.
One of my favorite memories in FFA would probably be our commitment to corduroy we host every year, which is a fundraising event where people come in from our community and we have a fundraising event that night. And it's so um, amazing and just special to see all the people that come in to support FFA and donate to us. And it's just so fun to let them experience us because there's not a lot of fundraisers where the kids are actually at the event. So it's just cool to be there and see all the people and mingle and talk and, as Cora said, network with older people in that. And it's so fun. And then another great memory is state convention up at NDSU. It's always just a fun time where you get to compete and just have so much fun up there too because there's so many activities and some of my core memories are up there. So yeah.
Is this something, as much as it's the school district, as much as the community? How fun is it for you, Grace, to kind of see that all come together with what you're able to do at school, but out of school, work with people in the community? How fun is that for your perspective to see kind of the give back to the local part of Kindred there with the FFA chapter?
It is so cool and so special to see, just a school organization be able to go out with our community and just make those connections and actually like talk and plan things with our community. It makes you kind of feel like an adult while you're in high school, being able to do all these things. Yeah, recently we're going to do a story time in the library. So I've been in conversation with the people at the library and doing that. And it's just so cool being able to like talk to people in our community that, we see, but we may not totally know them, and just being able to grow those connections. And once everything comes together, it's super cool. And it just feels special.
From there, what have you kind of learned from your advisor there with Mel, just kind of with the FFA? We'll start with Cora here, then Grace after that. Just kind of what have you kind of learned from her under her tutelage, so to speak?
She's taught me about everything. She's the one that like pushed me into competitions, and so she's also been my coach for a lot of them. So I've learned a lot of like FFA contest knowledge, but also she's also like an amazing person to go to for just straight life advice. She's heard a lot of our problems and like either gives us tough love or a solution. So yeah, definitely have learned a lot from her.
Same question to you, Grace.
Yeah, Mrs. Lee has taught me one of the main things is time management, which is very important, just being able to get things done when they need to be done. But another thing is the amount of time and effort you put into something determines how well you're going to do at it. And I think that's just a big thing I've learned from Mrs. Lee is if you want to do well, you have to put in the work to do it. So I think that's one of a big thing, but also a very important thing I've learned from Mrs. Lee.
We've been able to talk with FFA Chapter 2 with some students talking about, competition, showing, judging. Is there anything in particular from that point of view, Grace? Have you been able to judge before, or is it pretty much just kind of showing so far in terms of what you've been able to do with FFA?
With FFA, I've been able to do so much. I show pigs in the summer up at the state fair and at Red River Valley Fair, along with I do livestock judging, where I judge animals, and that's the season we're in right now. And then I've also been able to do so many different contests from nursery which is plants and landscaping, from ENR, which is to wildlife animals, to dairy handling, where I was able to harry dairy cows for the first time. And it's just so diverse. There's so many things you can do. I've also done public speaking events, and it's crazy. People think it's just for farmers, but really there's so much more than just that. There's so much you can do. And if you find something you like, you can take it very far starting in FFA.
Let's go from there. Similar question to kind of take team off of what Grace said there, Cora. I know the stigma is you have to be on the farm to be part of FFA, or you have to know someone on the farm to be a part of it. But that is, as kind of what Grace was saying, that's far from the truth. So take us through why should someone who maybe has no affiliation with a farmstead give FFA a try? Kind of what we were talking about a little bit earlier, but more to that point.
Yeah, I'm kind of the perfect model of like, it is not just for farmers. I literally live smack dab in the middle of town, so it's like, it truly is like, you can be so successful without any like further like farm knowledge or like ranching knowledge. It's really a broad organization, so like you, if you're good at talking, there's so many speaking events that you're able to compete in. There's so many just like daily life skills where you like think about like, oh, you have like a passion for flowers. Oh, well, if you like flowers, like you can identify them. Or if you're good with numbers and stuff, there's like a business competition. So it's just truly such a great organization for everyone. Like I never thought that like I would be a good fit for FFA because I was like, oh, that's for farmers. But then I was shown the complete opposite.
Final thing before you let you go, I know we said what's your favorite moment, but is there a particular story with the local FFA chapter in Kindred that you've done stuff in Kindred particularly? Is there something that you really have enjoyed giving back to the community? We'll start with Cora first and finish it off with Grace, but is there something that you've really enjoyed, locally, whether it's with the school district or the community there that you've enjoyed with the chapter?
I so we host monthly meetings, and those are truly such a blast. Like when we host those, we get so many people from our community who like are too like hesitant to actually like compete or like they don't make it on a team, and everyone just shows up. It's such a good time. We get to like make them food, and then we have like fun events where we get to like hang out and like engage in our like other FFA members. So for example, like we've done a pumpkin painting meeting, we've done swing dance lessons, and yeah, it's just so fun to see everyone like show up and have fun.
Same question, Grace.
So I talked about commitment to corduroy, and that's something that's really special in my heart, which I love so much. But I'll talk about as kind of similar to Cora. One of my favorite chapter meetings we've done was swing dancing, and it was one where you didn't know how many people were going to come, you didn't know if it was going to work very well, and it was a phenomenal
It was a hit.
meeting, and so many people came, and everyone was swing dancing and getting it and doing well, and it was so fun too because I love swing dancing, and it was just fun to be able to see everyone come out and enjoy something we didn't know if it was gonna be a hit or not, and it was. So just very cool to see.
Grace and Cora, thank you so much for your time and best of luck throughout the rest of the school year.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Elsa and Nicholas join us here from the Kindred FFA chapter, and we'll start with Elsa here first. Elsa, just kind of take us through your journey into FFA and how you got involved with the local chapter there in Kindred.
Okay. Well, I started FFA. We have a Egg 1 class in 8th grade, and it was in that class I was first introduced to what FFA was. But I didn't get involved in 8th grade. I kind of just went through the class, and that was the extent of it. But I ended up having a lot of free time on my hands, and so our egg teacher, Mrs. Lee, asked me if I wanted to start wiring the greenhouse. And so I did. I started wiring the greenhouse with one of my best friends. And I don't know how much wiring the greenhouse we actually did. It was a lot of listening to music and dancing in the greenhouse, but it was really fun. And I ended up having a huge interest in plants. And Mrs. Lee kind of used this as an inlet to getting me into floriculture. And so that was the first competition that I competed in, and I absolutely loved it. I was really nervous at first, getting introduced to a contest where I'm not used to competing in FFA, and I'm not used to going out of that comfort zone, but it was really fun, and that was my introduction to FFA.
Same question for you, Nicholas. Just kind of how'd you get involved?
So like we learned all about it in school and stuff, but I wasn't too interested. But there was an older kid on the cross country team who was actually the president at the time, and he basically made me and another officer sign up for stuff because he knew that we'd like it in the end if all we had to do was sign up in the beginning. So kind of thrown into it there, but that's my introduction.
For you here, Nicholas, just kind of what has been a moment, what's been something you have enjoyed most about, working with FFA, and what's something that you've enjoyed most, I guess, about the local Kindred chapter, whether it's at the local level, state, district level with the chapter?
I think the thing I enjoy the most is just competing, especially like you're on teams with your friends, skipping school. It's fun. You're meeting new people, and I think that's the most enjoyable part for me. Whether all levels of contest too. So.
Able to network for sure has been a common theme, it seems like, with FFA chapter members. Elsa, for you, similar question. Just kind of what have you enjoyed most working with the local chapter there in Kindred?
I think what I've enjoyed most is, like you said, the connecting with other people. I built so many friendships through FFA, and also just the life skills that I've been able to learn. I learned how to have an interview with employment skills contests and how to make a resume and cover letter. And those things I didn't think had anything to do with agriculture. So going into FFA, I never thought that I would be able to learn those life skills. So that was a really important thing that I got to take away from FFA.
And you're heading to NDSU, you're going to be studying some more eggs. So obviously FFA just kind of goes into your particular field of study. Is that the correct way to say it here, Elsa, going forward?
Yes, yep, that sounds right.
So what's the one thing from this particular chapter that you think that you're going to take with you once you get to college then?
I think the thing that I want to take with me most is that just like the family aspect of building an FFA officer team, and like those connections are so important to what you will do as a chapter. The meetings that we have and the events that we're able to put on is because of the community that we built around us. And those things wouldn't be possible if we didn't have those connections and the mindset that we're doing this all together for a common purpose.
Nicholas, you mentioned you're heading to biology. Was it all science? Was it FFA? Just kind of how did this particular FFA chapter maybe help you down that road heading to the University of Jamestown?
I don't really know, but biology is just kind of something I've always been interested in, and success in FFA has kind of pushed me. I can do it, and just push me down that path.
Take us through your particular side of things. You kind of mentioned that, hey, I wasn't sure I was going to join, but why should someone, after you've gone through it, you're a senior now, why should someone give FFA a try in their local town or local community?
I think the biggest thing is it's fun. A lot of people think that it's tests and, contests and that's all it is, studying, but it's fun to do. Competing with your friends, hanging out with your friends, meeting new people. It's all fun, and I don't think anybody's ever joined it been like, man, that really sucked,
For you, Nicholas, take us through a competition that you alluded to. Is there one particular thing that you enjoy most about competing in or working with your group of friends, competing in certain things with FFA?
The most fun I've ever had doing a contest is nursery. It was just me and the boys on the team, and we learned it up, and then we won state and went to nationals. So, it all kind of paid off in the end. I think that's what really made it count.
Without question, anytime you can win state, that's always a pretty nice feat. And for you, Elsa, similar question. Is there something you enjoy competing in more so than other with FFA?
This year will be my 4th year competing in floriculture. That's definitely my favorite event by far. Cora mentioned earlier that you get to learn how to make corsages and boutonnieres. And it's just so fun getting to work hands-on with the things. And like what Nick was saying, it's not just tests. It's like you're hanging out with your friends and you're getting to learn these hands-on activities. And so that's my favorite event.
For you here is, what have you learned kind of just from Mel, your advisor? What does she just kind of mean for you, and just what are some of the things that you've kind of learned under her with the FFA chapter?
She's an egg teacher, so I've learned a whole lot about agriculture, but she's a lot more than just that. And so I think she's more of a therapist, and she's taught me a ton of life skills. It's insane how much, how well she's at listening to us, and the advice she gives back to us it's a really great blessing.
Same question from Elsa to Nick here. Just kind of what have you learned from Mel?
I think the biggest thing that she stresses on us is just to work as a team. Like sometimes we have our moments, people are doing their own thing, whatever, and she's just always trying to get us to work as one singular unit because that's the only way things can get done the right way.
Elsa, how much fun is it to be part of a chapter that kind of gives back, reaches out to the local community, whether it's within the school or just the surrounding community of Kindred? Just how fun is that for you to be part of a chapter like this?
It's really fun. It goes to show how exciting the FFA is, that it's really rewarding, honestly, seeing the impact it can leave on the community. We have an organization a little activity that we do. It's called PALS, And so once a month, a couple FFA members go over to the elementary school and we get to teach them about agriculture. And I mean, little kids look forward to it so much. And so when we show up and they're like, oh my goodness, it's FFA people, it is honestly one of the best feelings ever. And it makes you feel really proud of like the work that you put in.
For you, Nicholas, I know you kind of mentioned about going to state then going to nationals, but is there something that within the local town, kind of to Elsa's point, whether it's PALS or something else that you've enjoyed with the Kindred chapter there for FFA locally?
I really enjoy seeing the younger kids at the chapter meetings and doing contests because, like, I mean, one day they're gonna be in our shoes and they're gonna be doing what we're doing now. So it's really important to like make sure that there's new students getting involved, and that starts here in Kindred. So
It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you so much for your time, and best of luck moving forward as heading to NDSU and the University of Jamestown.
Thank you.
thank you.
Joining us from the Lisbon chapter is Ellie Baasch now on our FFA Lisbon FFA show. And for you here, Ellie, I've kind of started out with most people. Just take us through your journey into FFA. What kind of got you into the program? What kind of got you started here into this local chapter?
So for me, I feel like it was very relaxed. I mean, my dad was an FFA as well as many other family members. And when you join an egg class, which for us would have been in seventh grade, you're automatically an FFA member. And then over time, I've just done several events. You know, they always host like a back to school barbecue and all these things that you can do. And then so I did a couple contests, and then last year when the officer applications came out, I applied, and then I luckily got to become the secretary, which I'm super happy and proud about. But yeah, it was very relaxed for me. I feel like I had a good experience, but I mean, it was simple but fun.
Let's just take us through what have you kind of learned during your secretary role there, being an officer this year with the FFA chapter in Lisbon.
So I feel like I've learned a lot. For example, our chapter did Parley Pro, and in that I've learned how to think quickly. I can now like give answers on the fly to random questions. That's talent I didn't know I needed. But I've learned like teamwork. Our chapter relies on its members. It isn't so much as everybody follows the orders of somebody. We all help each other. It's a big community in a sense that everybody's role is equally as important. That wasn't something I understood until I actually got into the chapter and until I became an officer that I learned that. And I feel like that's just been something that you need to experience it to fully understand it. But that's something I'm grateful for. I mean, I just feel like I've become a better person ever since I got it, and I would definitely encourage someone else to apply for that officer position or even to just become a part of it for those experiences that I think everyone should get to have.
You mentioned some of the experiences, whether it's at a local level, district, state level. What is an event or two or an experience or two that kind of jumps off the page that you enjoyed most being part of FFA?
So some of my favorites are going to be like state convention. That's super fun. You get to meet up with all other kids from different chapters, different schools. And I mean, we're in a small town right now. So like when you meet kids from the other side of the state, it doesn't seem that far away, but it is. Like they talk different. They have different ways of doing things. It's always fun to learn about that kind of stuff. But honestly, for me, I feel like some of my favorite events have actually been things that we've just done as like a chapter. There's so many people on our officer team and like involved in the chapter that I admire so greatly that it's always a fun time. Usually meetings involve Cassidy, our advisor, trying to keep us quiet because we're always giggling. So if I had to say, my favorite things would probably just be what we do together here.
You mentioned a family earlier here in the interview here, Ellie. So how much does FFA get talked about, so to speak, at the dinner table? How much are you guys talking about it throughout the course of the year?
Well, usually think like my dad's always asking questions whenever I say, "Oh, I got FFA tonight," and he always asks me about it when I get home. And he was also a person who didn't quite do like he wasn't big into the contest, but he loved to be a part of it. So he's always like everyone cares. My uncle did it, my aunt. It's just something we just love it.
Why should someone, and you kind of maybe alluded to it a little bit earlier, but why should someone give it a try, whether it's in middle school, like you kind of talked about learning at seventh grade, then, being part of it once you get to eighth grade, but why should someone do it, whether it's eighth grade, sophomore year, if they're thinking about coming out for FFA, why should they give it a chance?
Well, it's honestly so easy, and I feel like that's why everyone should try it. You don't have to pay any membership dues because in an egg class, our school does that. You're automatically part of it. It's so easy. And like I said before, we live in a small town where so many people have done FFA, and I know so many of those people. And the thing that they all have in common is not a single one of them has said that they regret being an FFA. But most of them have also said that they wish they did more. So even if it's something you don't want to be big into, you don't want to do the contest, that's okay because you can still be a part of what we do around in the community. You can come to our chapter meetings where there's usually food involved, so that usually gets kids there, but it's just honestly a fun time. And when you go, if you go to leadership events or anything like that, everybody there is just so passionate about agriculture or something relating to it that you can go there and you can learn an entire new topic because everybody wants to talk. You can go there and you have no idea about cows, but somebody there will talk to you about cows for 2 hours if you let them, and you'll leave so knowledgeable, and it's super fun.
What have you learned from your advisor, Cassidy Bishop? I know you mentioned her to Ellie a little bit earlier on, but what are some things that you kind of learned from her?
So Cassidy is a fantastic person, and she's way more patient than she should be with us because, like I said, we are a handful. But so we did several new things this year, like with being a chapter officer, I've had to do Parley Pro and all that stuff. And Cassidy's just been really good about not stressing us out. Like she's very cool, calm, and collected about things. She tries to make it simple for us. We've never had to be like in the dark about something. She's very transparent. She'll share everything. She'll be brutally honest with us when she needs to be. So yep, there it goes. But yeah, Cassidy's just fantastic. We couldn't ask for a better chapter leader.
And for you, last question for me, Ellie, just being part of Lisbon, you mentioned there's a lot of people that, have been part of FFA, being part of that Lisbon community. Just what does that mean, being kind of the next generation and then seeing the next group of students coming through the program here in Lisbon?
Yeah, so I can't speak for others, but for myself, I feel it's very important that we put a good mark on our chapter now. We want to see the next generation succeed. So lately, our efforts this year have been giving opportunities to those who are younger than us. So this year, like we have state F like National FA Week coming up, and we're planning several events, like for example, a petting zoo. So the younger kids who maybe don't come from a farming background, whose family hasn't been in FFA, and they can learn about things. We want everybody to be knowledgeable and to learn why we do the things we do, which is why it's so important that we leave a good mark on what we're doing, because we want those to succeed in after us.
Hey, Ellie, thank you so much for your time and enjoy the rest of the school year and everything else with the FFA coming up here over the next couple months.
Yes, thank you very much.
Join us here is Rylee, part of the Lisbon FFA chapter here with the FFA show on the YourLiveEvent.com. And Rylee, just take us through your journey into FFA. What got you into the chapter? How'd you learn about the chapter? And let's just kind of start there before we go through some of the other questions.
Okay, so how I got into FFA is I show livestock at my county fair. And then my seventh grade year, so going into my eighth grade, our FFA advisors came up and gave me an FFA shirt and it's like, hey, you're old enough, you can go show an FFA at the show if you want an extra one. And that's kind of how it started. And then I started selling the fruit the next year, and that's basically the whole story.
What have you kind of learned during your tenure so far as an FFA member? What are some things that you just kind of grasp what you use, whether it's every day or just in school or anything, in between?
So things I've learned is definitely like paying attention to like what I'm doing for my SAE work and kind of like getting into depth while also learning communication and talking to my advisors to get like my SAE is really important to me because it's all about my farm. So just making sure everything's up to date and getting all of my stuff in like that.
How important is it to be someone, because we've talked with some members who, so to speak, are city kids compared to farm kids, but for you, has this always been something that you thought you might kind of do in terms of farming, knowing what FFA maybe was, even at a younger age, just understanding the importance of, the egg world with the school and just kind of how everything that FFA presents to you here, Rylee? Did you know that this was going to be something you probably were going to get into later in life?
Yeah, so both my parents, they went to school in Lisbon and they were both FFA members here too. So it's definitely something I knew I'd be a part of. I have a little sister coming up, like she knew right away she was gonna be a part of it. So yes, it was definitely something I knew about and that I was going to be a part of as soon as I could.
Do you talk FFA a lot, so to speak, or around the dinner table with your parents, or just are they asking you, are you doing similar things from what your chapter's doing from when they were in school at the time? So just take us through how that family, conversation is, so to speak, throughout the course of the year.
So yes, my parents do talk to me about FFA a lot. We mainly just making sure we have all the data that we can bring in and like showing other people like what it's all about that's not just agriculture based. My parents, they did a lot of the similar things that I did because their SAEs and operations were similar to mine, so it's definitely nice to have that background. And yeah, it's definitely brought up a lot, maybe twice, 3 times a week at dinner. So yeah.
Why should someone who's maybe a little bit younger or thought about joining FFA, but maybe they didn't, why should someone join the local Lisbon FFA chapter?
So I've learned that it's not just for the scholarships and everything, but it's also the relationships you get. I've met so many great people, so many people that are going to impact me as I go on to college and get these jobs, and that will lead me and be there in my whole life. So that's just a very important thing that I think other people could also use.
Yeah, without question, networking's always good at any particular age. And as you kind of go forward here, Rylee, what have been some events, whether it's the local events in Lisbon, maybe been fortunate to do some statewide or district-wide events? What have been some events that you enjoyed most being part of here with the FFA chapter?
So I enjoy going up to the state convention contests. I also, like I was saying, I show cattle, so being able to have that extra show at the state fair or even our county fair, and then also I am a member of livestock judging. I've been that since I was probably like 6 or 7. I got drug into it, and now I'm getting old enough where I can do it in FFA, and I've been doing that for 3 years now. So everything based around livestock while also being up at the state contests.
Would you rather show or would you rather be the judge, so to speak? Now, Rylee, since you've done it a little bit, which one I guess is, if it can be easier, which one is easier, or which one do you enjoy most between the two?
I enjoy showing a lot more. Yeah, it's been there since I was 5 and it's gonna hopefully keep going on in my life.
What's one thing you've learned with your advisor, Cassidy Bishop? Just what's something that you've learned under her with the FFA chapter there in Lisbon?
So big thing I've learned is probably problem solving right away on the dot. Like if you're in a difficult situation, analyzing it and then finding a solution for it.
Final thing for me, Rylee, we kind of talked about the egg. How fun is it to be part of a community with Lisbon, being pretty open about FFA and some of the local events that you're able to tie in throughout the year? How fun is that for you to be part of a community that, really does cherish, obviously, both what you can do in town, but out of town in terms of just the little things that kind of makes, Lisbon the way that that community is?
I really enjoy it because you can go around to almost any person and just talk about it and you can make a connection just through that. So I love it. It's something that I'm very appreciative of in Lisbon. So,
Hey, Rylee, thanks so much for your time and enjoy the rest of the school year.
okay, thank you.
Part of our FFA chapter show here with some local FFA members, this time from the Lisbon part of the FFA chapter. Join us here is Hailey and Jaida with us. And first things first, guys, thanks for being part of the conversation. Number two, Jaida, let's just start with you. Just what have you kind of learned during your time with FFA? And I guess what does this chapter and this organization kind of mean for you?
I've learned a lot through FFA. I've definitely learned to be more responsible with my time. My public speaking has gotten a lot better, and this chapter it's like home, so it means a lot. Yeah.
Similar question, Hailey, just kind of what Jaida said. What have you just kind of learned most about FFA and what have you enjoyed most about it?
Yeah, FFA has really helped me with my public speaking and just being more like outgoing and confident. So that's definitely something I've taken from this chapter. And as well as this chapter, just everyone is so kind and willing to like help you out. So we definitely have a good time when we all get together.
So I guess the first question is, when did you learn about FFA? Was it something from a family? Was it something from a friend? Was it just at school? So we'll start with you on this one. Hailey, how'd you just kind of learn about FFA once you kind of got into it?
It originally started when I joined an ag class in seventh grade, but my dad was also an FFA. So I kind of have always known it's kind of ran in the family. But then when joined an ag class, I kind of got to know more about it, and I've just kind of always stuck with it. It's been something I've really enjoyed.
Before we talk with Jada, how cool is it to kind of have that family connection? How much do you talk with your dad about just the chapter and what was similar or maybe what was different from when he was in it?
Yeah, a lot. So my dad also went to school in Lisbon, so it's kind of fun to look at how things have improved and how things have changed. And even my mom was also an FFA where she went to school, so yeah, it kind of runs in the family.
Same thing for you, Jada. Just kind of how'd you learn about FFA to begin with here?
Well, same as Hailey, like I started FFA seventh grade, and then just kind of from here on out, always done it. I've had great egg teachers, so.
From this perspective, why should someone join it? You know, is it something where you have to be in egg? Is it, so to speak, a city kid and a country kid, so to speak? Why should someone kind of, Jada, from your point of view, what have you learned about FFA and why should someone give it a try if they've been thinking about it?
Well, personally, I'm not a country kid. I've done nothing in the country, and I've always lived in town, and I've gotten a lot out of it. It's great learning experiences through it all.
So, what's the one thing you've kind of learned most, I guess, about FFA here, Jada?
Just that it helps. I don't know. It's just really fun. Like you just kind of do a lot.
Hailey, for you, similar question. Country kid, city kid, just kind of why should someone, join the particular chapter itself?
Yeah, so I've grown up on a farm. So for me, I've kind of just always been really in the agricultural industry, but it goes way more than agriculture, like small animal care and food sciences. So you can really find an interest that's something that can interest everyone. So yeah.
So, so when Egg kind of just came into your part here, just take us through your story of the FFA here. You kind of mentioned the family part here, Hailey, but what's the one journey or what's the one thing that you've kind of learned from when you started that maybe you weren't expecting to grow in or kind of learn more about the chapter with FFA? Was there something that you're like, oh, I didn't realize FFA could get me down this road, so to speak?
Yeah, for me, kind of. I never thought that I would want to stay in the agricultural industry after high school, but growing up like in FFA and learning things through FFA, I've kind of decided I kind of helped change my career path to decide to stay in this industry.
Okay, Jada, similar question. Was there something that just kind of came out of nowhere or maybe took you down a road that you weren't expecting to learn about, so to speak, in FFA?
Honestly, our advisor, she's just so welcoming. She's always there. Like she's great.
What have you kind of learned from Cassidy Bishop? I guess most things first here, Jada.
Through my four years with her, she's taught me a lot. She's like being responsible, using my time wisely, studying for our competitions, keeping me accountable for my actions.
For you, Hailey, similar question. Just kind of what have you learned from your advisor?
Yeah, very similar to Jada. Just like she really just helps to push us and motivate us to do our best. She takes a lot of her own personal time, like outside of school hours and stuff, to really help us do what we can do best in our competition. So, yeah, definitely that.
Is this something that you kind of mentioned to here, Hailey, in terms of maybe learning more about once you get done with high school? So, what is your next kind of chapter, so to speak? Where you plan on learning about, or what do you kind of want to do, I guess, on the egg field moving forward?
I'm planning to go to South Dakota State University and I'm majoring in ag business and minoring in land valuation and rural real estate. So, yeah.
And for you, Jada, similar question. Is A going to be part of your, field going forward or part of your journey going forward?
I don't think it will. I will be going into nursing, so in Wapaton. So.
And I guess the question is, we always hear about how certain sports or certain programs can cross over. So from the nursing point of view, I guess what hopefully do you hope to learn from FFA that you've kind of already talked about? But is there anything in particular as you're getting into nursing that you might think you'll kind of keep with you from the FFA chapter here, Jada?
Just being confident in my speaking, being strong with my words.
And for you, Hailey, how much fun is it to kind of just get into more in terms of the next level of agriculture? What are you looking forward to most once you get down to South Dakota State?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to just like kind of taking what I've learned from FFA of like meeting new people and being confident in myself and like the things that I've learned to kind of meet new people down in a new city.
How much of the community aspect is this part of it too? I mean, every chapter obviously has its own story, but how much involved in Lisbon is the FFA? Do you feel like this is kind of one, like the glove in the hand, so to speak, that it kind of goes together? Jada, does this feel pretty good to understand that there's other students like yourself, but other folks that have been through it and understand what FFA is? How much is FFA talked about kind of within the school district there in the town of Lisbon?
FFA does a lot of things throughout the community. Like we help at the local veterans home, and that gets our word out. We just do a lot of small things that look big.
For you, Hailey, was there much recruitment to get into it with both your parents being in it, or was it just something you felt like you're always going to do because of those family ties?
Yeah, kind of just felt like something that I was always going to do, but our chapter definitely does a really good job with recruitment. We host monthly events, like we've had a back to school grill out, we do pumpkin carving in October and a Christmas movie. So it kind of helps to get people who maybe don't necessarily know that much about FFA or have much agricultural background. They're kind of able to get involved in different ways.
So you guys have been through FFA for quite some time. Favorite story or favorite thing that you've done with FFA, whether it's locally in Lisbon, maybe been able to travel a little bit and get to some different events throughout it as well. What would it start with? We'll start with you here, Jada. What's the one thing you've enjoyed most in terms of your favorite memory here with FFA?
Mine is definitely state convention, just having all the good times in our dorms with our advisors, just laughing all the time.
Similar question here, Hailey.
For me, I think my favorite was this year, our parliamentary procedure team actually did really well. We haven't always had a good team, but this year we practiced a lot and we had a really good competition, even though we didn't end out how we had hoped, but we definitely have improved. So I hope that what we did this year is kind of able to become almost a legacy and keep everyone motivated to do well there.
Final question. Have you guys recruited the next generation coming through then? Have you found different ways to say, hey, give this a try or have an opportunity in terms of whether it's some family, whether it's some friends? Have you guys kind of had that opportunity to speak with other younger students that are coming up through the system and have them get a taste of what FFA is here, Jada?
Oh yeah, definitely. Some of my like younger cousins have asked like, "Do you like FFA?" And I'm like, "Definitely. Like you should really do an egg class. You never not have fun."
Same thing here, Hailey. Same question.
Yeah, and another thing that we've kind of done is we try to get more involved with the middle school and elementary. So to get them started early, we'll do different things like for National FFA Week, we're having a petting zoo so that we can kind of show them different fun things that FFA does. So yeah, we definitely do a good job at getting FFA started to be talked about at a young age.
Final thing for me, it's just like any other sport. It's just like music or something else. I know you probably get asked how much time and effort do you put in throughout the course of a calendar year or school year. So, is this something that's a weekly byproduct? Is other weeks, you're there a couple more times helping out, whether it's for different organizations. So, how much time and effort do you put in outside of your normal school hours or any other extracurricular activities that you have going on throughout the course of the day? We'll start with Haley. How much time do you kind of put in, as you kind of get through the FFA chapter here?
Yeah, it really kind of depends on like the season we're in. So like in the fall, we were here after school every single day practicing for different events. And then if you're doing a winter contest, you're in here more, or if you're just doing a state contest, then you'll be in a lot more in the spring. So yeah, I could say, oh, you can either you kind of get what you give. Yeah, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can, however many hours you want to put in to like kind of do the best that you can.
Same question, Jada. Obviously, with sports and everything else, just kind of how do you balance that schedule throughout the course of the year?
It definitely gets busy sometimes. Like in the fall, we were here after practices almost every day of the week preparing for our contest. And then as of now, it just slows down and then it'll get busy again.
We got a Wildcat. Also, we got a Jackrabbit. Thanks so much for your time here, and best of luck moving forward throughout the last couple of months before you head on off to college here, guys.
Thank you.
Well, joining us here is Mara Kempel with us from the Lisbon chapter of the FFA show on yourliveevent.com. Mara, I guess let's just start from the journey of when you first heard about FFA and how you kind of got into it. Just take us through kind of your first involvement with FFA and were you recruited? Did you just hear about it in school? Just take us through how you kind of joined the chapter.
My seventh grade year, we had I guess you could call it like an introduction to egg class. It was just a trimester class that everyone went through in middle school, and I guess that's kind of the first experience I had with it. And then my eighth grade year, I again was in the egg classes, and I have been all throughout high school. And I guess my eighth grade year, I started showing goats for FFA along with livestock judging for FFA.
So what have you learned most, I guess, up to where you are right now? What have you learned most through the organization of itself?
I would say public speaking and confidence like are key things that I'll use for the rest of my life that FFA has really helped me improve on and taught me.
Why should someone kind of join FFA? It kind of sounds like in Lisbon you have an opportunity to learn about agriculture, obviously in school, part of the curriculum, but why should someone outside of the school curriculum still kind of have an opportunity to join this chapter?
Um, they should join this chapter because our school does a lot of, our chapter does a lot of things in the community. It's really good at involvement and like not making someone feel like, oh, you have to live on a farm to be an FFA. Like these are still life skills that is helpful for anybody, and it doesn't matter what your career is going to be. Like I don't plan on going into an ag career, but these are still things that are going to be critical in my future.
Take us through the community involvement as you talked about there, Mara. What are some things that you enjoy most about FFA being tied with the local Lisbon community in terms of some of the events that the chapter puts on throughout the course of the year?
Some of my favorite events that we do are like we do a lot of plant and flower sales. Like we have a horticulture class that does sales from our greenhouse. We always have a back to school grill out. Like after like during the first week or maybe it's before, I'm not really sure. We always do like a obviously I'm a livestock judger, so it's always fun doing our Southeast region contest. That's always awesome that our school is able to host a contest. Um, yeah, we just do lots of little things throughout the community that really make it enjoyable.
You mentioned about judging there, just kind of how'd you get into that? I mean, I know it's a little bit different for everybody, but how did you kind of get down the livestock side and what did you kind of learn about the process there of just understanding and certain things what you're looking for in an animal and how you're judging and how to show the respective, animals as well. So just kind of take us through that story.
I started judging because one of my close friends, she'll be interviewed later on. She also judges and she kind of got me into it. I was originally a hippology. I did that just because I had horses and enjoyed it through 4-H. So then I transitioned over the livestock judging side, and really it's taken me a lot of places. Like we got to go to nationals this year for the 4-H side, but still, it's a fun experience that has taught me a lot of things. And then the showing, I got into that because my family bought goats, and FFA is just another way to get into the ring and get experience.
You mentioned, kind of moving forward that maybe agriculture might not be the one thing you get into once you kind of are done with Lisbon high school curriculum here, Mara. So I guess what is the one thing that you hope to take with you? You kind of alluded to already, but what's one thing you hope to take with you, whatever profession that you're looking to, study down the line here?
I think that would be my public speaking skills. I think that'll be important in any career that I pick. And you always hear, oh, that's key. Like everybody needs to be able to talk to people. So, yeah.
Is there a particular event that you've enjoyed most with FFA, whether it's something local in Lisbon, as we discussed before, maybe it's something statewide? Is there a particular event that you've kind of been with the chapter that you've enjoyed most or kind of comes to the top first?
I really enjoyed, I've just went once, but I really enjoyed state convention this year. That was the first week after school or something like that. First
How
week
much
after.
how much is have you talked with other, younger members, so to speak, that are in middle school, that are in high school, that are a little bit younger than you in terms of have they asked you questions, asked them about what is FFA like? Why should they kind of join? Just take us through that process and how much have you spoken about the chapter just within Lisbon High School there?
I actually have an 8th grade younger sister, and I've talked to her a lot about it. Like, she also does livestock judging, so it's cool to see how our experiences were different because they didn't necessarily have the same trimester class, but it's cool to see how the 8th grade is still involved, like in our FFA program and what the future looks like, I guess.
How much are you able to just kind of build relationships? Obviously, there's a networking opportunity to speak with other chapters and other people. So, how much have you kind of used that to your benefit through the FFA?
I've used it a ton actually. Now that I've become a chapter officer, I feel like I'm so much more connected. I would say mainly in like within our district, but also I guess other towns, but mainly in like the Lisbon High School. I've become so much more connected with other officers and active FFA members.
Two more questions for you here, Mara. How does someone become a part of the, so to speak, get a little bit more involved? How do you become part of one of those chapter members who are kind of more so the quote unquote leaders of the group every particular year? How do you kind of get in that situation?
Um, start by taking an egg class, and then we always fill out officer applications. And even if you don't get elected an officer, like you can still come and attend these meetings. Like it's open to everybody, and you can still come and experience it. And we have members that do that that aren't officers. And yeah, you can still be a part of what we do without being an officer.
What have you learned from Cassidy, your advisor there with the FFA? Just kind of what are some things that you've learned under her, so to speak, with the chapter?
I would say like you get into something, like however much effort you put into something, you normally get out. Like even if it takes a little bit longer, like you'll get it out success if you put a lot of effort in, and also like how to navigate difficult situations. And yeah,
Hey, Mara, thanks so much for your time and enjoy the rest of the school year.
thank you.
Rosetta and alongside joining us here is Kayla with us, part of the Hope Page FFA chapter. Let's start with Rosetta here first. Just kind of take us through your journey into FFA and how did you kind of just get started with the local chapter there in Hope Page?
Well, I moved here about 2 years ago and I wanted to meet some more people around from my community. So I decided to join this club because Kayla over here was convincing me to do it. And it's been so much fun ever since. I've met so many amazing people and made up so many amazing long-lasting friendships.
And for you, Kayla, just similar question with Rosetta there. Just kind of how did you kind of get started with the local FFA chapter?
The first year we had it, I was in eighth grade, so I didn't have an ag class, but my sister was the president of our chapter the very first year, so I kind of was forced into it the first year. But I'm so glad I was. I've met so many great people and I've learned so much.
Take us through, Rosetta, just kind of what it means to network. I know we've talked with a lot of FFA chapter members, and it seems like that is one of the top things with FFA, just talking with local people in the school district, but also in other schools. What has that kind of been able to help you out for your high school, just getting to meet and talk with new people?
It's helped me out a lot. I've been able to talk more to other people and not just always in Hope. I'm always talking to other people from other schools. I've been able to make connections through other schools, and I love it. It's just so much fun and it's amazing.
What have you enjoyed most, I guess, about is it competitions? Has there been a certain project, something within the local community, Rosetta? What's one thing with the FFA chapter that you've kind of enjoyed the most so far for your couple years in it?
I've really enjoyed doing competitions, especially summer competition. That's been the most fun at NDSU, and we get to do our two competitions that we choose to, and that's really fun for me. That's one of my favorite things we do.
Same thing for you, Kayla. What's just been something that you've really enjoyed with the local chapter there with Hope Page?
Just getting more involved in the community. We really do a lot of activities throughout the year with involving the community.
Is there something, one of those activities that you've enjoyed more so than the others that you've kind of been able to do?
During our town event, it's Hope Days. So we usually do a dunk tank that people come in and we have a bunch of volunteers sit in it, and it's probably my favorite activity we do.
For FFA, you're heading up to Lake Region for nursing and a little bio here, I guess. What have you learned from FFA that might help you, moving forward later once you get to Lake Region State?
Um, I really think that FFA has helped me be more open to meeting new people, being helping with my communication skills with people I haven't ever met. So moving forward to Lake Region into nursing, I think that will really help because I'll be meeting so many new people. And in the career I'm pursuing, you have to talk to a lot of people.
And same thing for you, Rosetta. You're going to nursing at NDSCS. Just kind of what have you learned from FFA that will help you over your next journey in life?
It's helped a lot with my public speaking and being able to talk to people that I don't know very well. That's a huge part of nursing because, you got to talk to people every day that you don't know, and that being an FFA has really helped me come out of my shell to be able to do that.
You mentioned that the person sitting next to you on the left there with Kayla kind of forced you to get into it. So now that you have done it for a couple of years, why should someone maybe force another person, or why should someone, join their local FFA chapter across the state?
I feel like somebody should join it, especially if they feel like they need to do something, like if they want to do something and or trying to figure out what they want to do when they get older. I feel like that's a really good thing that FFA can help you with. We have so many opportunities and so many competitions to find out what you like. And I feel like a lot of people don't really know that. So I think people being able to force their other friends to come into FFA and then being able to find something that they truly love, I feel like is amazing.
Similar question for you, Kayla. You kind of talked about how it was kind of more the family side that got you into it. So why should someone, have the opportunity to join FFA? Why should someone, give it a chance?
I think somebody should join FFA not just because they're forced to.
Yeah.
They want to get out of their shell. It's a really good opportunity to find what you want to do in their future. I know a lot of people that went to college to become what they've done in FFA. And I think it's just a great opportunity to meet new people and grow in your confidence.
Is there one particular event, whether it's with the community, whether it's with the school district, maybe it's something at a district and or state level with FFA, Kayla, that you've really enjoyed the most? Is there one particular event that you've really kind of circled that said that was kind of a highlight, so to speak, during FFA?
I really enjoy at the state level food science, and also for LDs, I really enjoy livestock judging.
Rosetta, same question to you.
I really enjoy small animal care. I find that very fun. And then for other competition, I would guess egg sales. I'm doing that one again this year. I really enjoyed it last year.
Rosetta and Kayla, thank you so much for your time and best of luck throughout the rest of the school year.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
Join us here is Gabby and Preston, part of the Hope Page FFA chapter. And Gabby, for you, just kind of take us through your journey. How did you kind of get involved into the local FFA chapter?
I got involved into our FFA chapter through our advisor. I was taking an A class at the time, and she was just like, "You should join FFA." And I was like hesitant at first, I would say, but I joined, and my first year I went to leadership conferences, and I just thought it was so fun, and I've just been involved ever since.
The same question for you, Preston. Just kind of how did you get involved with the local chapter there in Hope Page?
So the first year at FA was my seventh grade year, and had a few A classes with her, and she really pushed me to join. And my older brother Caleb, was in it, so that kind of helped me join too.
Take us through just what's one thing you've enjoyed most about being part of the chapter here. We'll start with Preston first this time.
My favorite part is going to state with two of my friends and dorming in the dorms with them.
Gabby, same question.
Yeah, like Preston, a lot of the people that are in FFA, I would say it's like everyone in FFA just has common ground, and it's really fun to meet everyone.
Is there a particular competition that you enjoy participating in, whether it's by yourself or maybe with some of your classmates, Gabby? Is there one particular one that stands out more so than the others?
I didn't get much into competition beforehand just because of being a dual sporter and most of the time. So I did get into prepared public speaking for an LDE this year, and I went and I was so stressed, but I did pretty well, got third place. It was very nice, and I want to do more in the future like that.
Same thing for you, Preston, on the competition side.
I would say I really don't have a favorite, but if I were to choose one, I think it'd probably be egg mech, just with all the mechanical stuff. I really like that side of the agricultural.
Why should someone give their local FFA chapter in their school district a try here, Preston? What's the reason if someone's been kind of teetering, the last couple of years to do it? Why should they go out and give it a shot?
I think it's a great way to meet new people, great way to hang out with friends, get, great way to meet a teacher that like you can hang out with a lot and you can connect with.
Is there something at the local community that you've done within Hope Page? Is it maybe at the district or state level? What have you enjoyed most, Preston, with the local chapter in terms of maybe reaching out to the community or reaching out to the school district, or maybe even something at state that you enjoy the most about it?
I would say, I mean, I really like our banquet we do at the end of the year, where we select new officers and eat and then give out awards and that too.
For you, Gabby, why should someone give their local FFA chapter a shot?
Like I said before, it's a lot of meeting new people everywhere you go for like state level stuff. You meet a ton of people, and speakers are always encouraging you to go out and have conversations and just try and build relationships. And I've built a lot, and I'm really grateful for everything.
Is there a particular event, similar question that we asked Preston, similar, is there an event, whether it's at the state, district, or just something in the community that you've really enjoyed, being part of there?
I really liked state last year. We had a magician come in and also a comedian. That was really fun to watch and see, even though I didn't get to participate in the act itself, but it's just small stuff like that that makes it really fun.
For both of you, you still got one more year left of high school before you go off to your next chapter. We'll start with Preston. Is there anything from FFA that you think will carry with you no matter what you're planning on studying, or once you kind of get done with high school, is there some things that you'll carry with you, part of your day-to-day lifestyle?
I mean, I'd say like the ag mech side of it, being living on a farm, that really helps. And just with the career I'm thinking about going into, I don't know yet, but something along those lines.
With your family, Preston, is FFA something that gets talked about around the dinner table, kind of throughout the course of the week, throughout the course of the year? Obviously, having some family that have done it in the past.
Yeah, it depends on the time of year. During the summer, not as much, but during like the school year when I'm really active in FFA, yeah, it gets talked about quite a bit.
For you, Gabby, is this something that you kind of learned through from family and friends? You talk about it in your conversations. How's that kind of work with your day-to-day lifestyle?
It's mainly around events that I get busy with just talking around the table with everything for FFA. But um, honestly, we as a family just kind of mess around, and so
Is,
FFA is comes in the mix, and it's like fun.
is there something you think from FFA though that you'll carry with you, for next year as a senior, and then obviously whatever comes next down your journey?
Definitely public speaking. I'm looking to go into something with music, and having connections in music is so important, and I'm really excited about it.
Hey, Gabby and Preston, thanks so much for your time, and best of luck the rest of the school year here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
As we have our final chapter of the Hope Page FFA chapter conversations here with also join us is Hazel, Kennedy, and Emersen. Hazel, let's start with you. Just kind of take us through your journey into FFA and just kind of how you got involved with the local chapter in Hope Page.
So I started with FFA my seventh grade year, actually. So me and Emersen, we joined at the same time. We were just intrigued with the first ag class that we were in, and we wanted to like see how much farther we could go with it. So it's been a lot of fun since.
Emersen, similar question as Hazel just kind of roped you into it. Just kind of take us through your journey joining and how long have you kind of been involved with FFA as well?
Yeah, so like she said, we both started in seventh grade, so this is our fourth year. My older sister Lily was in it, and I didn't do much my seventh grade year, and then eighth grade year, my older sister Lily, she just really pushed me to start competing and getting more involved. So yeah.
Kennedy, for you, just take us through how you got involved.
I did not join my seventh grade year, actually. I waited. I've never, even though I come from a farming family, I was never really interested in the world of agriculture. But these two being in my class really also pushed me along with Miss Went to join. Like coming back the next day from school and then being gone and all the stories and all the fun things that, oh my gosh, what did we do yesterday at FA? It really like pushed me to join. So, and it's been a great experience and a great opportunity for me to join, and I'm very happy that I did.
Hazel, I've heard other chapters, other members say it's not just about farming, right? And sometimes FFA has that rep that you have to be a farmer, you have to live on the farm to be part of it. So just take us through it. If there's someone that's quote unquote the city kid, or someone who never thought, to Kennedy's line of thinking at the time, going, I don't know if I'm going to get into ag long term. Why should someone still give FFA a chance?
So actually, personally, I don't live on a farm. Like I live in the country, but that's just about it. So I gave FFA a chance because I was a really shy kid when I was younger, and like I wanted an opportunity to see like how I could improve on that also. So me being an FFA, I have grown so much. It's like just in the past 4 years, I see a huge improvement from when I was just in seventh grade. So I think people who live in the city or just aren't interested in agriculture should really give it a shot because there's so much more besides agriculture. You learn how to speak in front of people, you learn how to make friends with other people, which I've struggled with, um, and a lot of stuff. So.
Emerson, for you, what's been a favorite one or two moments, whether it's at the local community, it could be within the school district there, it could be at a state level. Just what's been one or two things with FFA that you've really enjoyed the most?
I'd say overall, really just any like event that we get to travel with other members from our chapter with and our advisor is super fun. But my overall favorite thing that I get to do in FFA is FFA camp. It is such a great opportunity. There's a high ropes course. You get to be put in groups with the state officers and you just make so many friends there. That's where I've made lots of my FFA friendships.
Same question to you, kind of, Kennedy. What's been something that you've enjoyed the most with your local FFA chapter?
Something that I've enjoyed most in FFA so far has definitely been fall leadership. So that's the conference in Bismarck in the fall around like September, early October. The first time I went, I was very nervous. I was an eighth grader. I was quiet. I didn't really like to step out of my comfort zone and really talk to a lot of people. I had my close-knit group of friends. But the first time I went, I just told myself, I'm gonna get out of my comfort zone. I'm gonna be confident. I'm gonna make friends. And those friendships have lasted up until right now. And I will continue to make new friendships. So that's probably been an FFA is so much more than just like it can teach you a lot about other people, but it also can teach you a lot about yourself. It can teach you how to have social skills and how to communicate with other people and how to be confident in yourself. And those skills have definitely shown, not just with myself, but these two also.
Hazel, for you, when it comes to competitions, how much are you involved with the local FFA chapter? I know everyone does it a little bit differently on their own terms every year, but what are some of the competitions that you've been able to partake in?
I've competed at the state level for CDEs, and then I've also competed at the state level for LDEs. So in the summer at NDSU, I compete in small animal care, and I've also competed in food science, and I've also done ag com. And then for the state level for LDEs, I competed in advanced quiz, and I also have competed in chapter of conduct meeting, and those have really just they brought so many more skills into my life. Like chapter of conduct meeting teaches you how to run a meeting, quiz teaches you how to prepare for something and how to manage your time well. Small animal care teaches you about loads of different things regarding like smaller animals, as the name. Just those different things, and then smaller competitions as well.
Hazel, same question. Just kind of what have you competed in, and just take us through kind of some of the things that you've been able to partake in.
So I've actually competed in quite a few things. So along with like the LDs and stuff and CDs, I've competed in a lot of the same LDEs as Kennedy did. But I've also competed for CDEs in like ag sales and then floriculture, ag communications. And then this year, I guess last year, I also competed in milk quality and products. And then I also compete a lot at the state fair. So I show animals there. So that's another whole aspect besides just those competitions.
Emerson, same question for you, I guess. And have you done any judging? I know that's been something with FFA that been able to judge some sides. So have you competed? And then also, have you been able to do any judging kind of with the FFA chapter?
I have not been able to judge, but my dad is our coach, so he's done some judging. So I've heard some stories about that because he's our coach for agronomy. But yeah, I've done a lot of competitions with these two. I think my favorite is definitely small animal care in state convention in the summer.
Take us through just kind of the local community involvement with the FFA chapter for you here, Emersen. What does it mean to obviously get an opportunity to be part of the organization, but to give back to the local communities that you're able to serve? Just kind of take us through that and some of the events. And I know you mentioned the dunk tank earlier, but some of the other stuff that you're able to be part of the local community throughout the course of the year.
Yeah, so I think that community service is just so important to involve your community in your schools. We do a couple different fundraisers, like we do our pizza fundraiser, excuse me, to raise funds for our chapter, but we also do a door-to-door fundraiser where we hang bags on doors around town and then they can fill them with donations, then we bring it back to the school.
Kennedy, same thing. Just maybe what's one thing that you've enjoyed most with the local community there?
I think the one thing I've enjoyed most of the local community that our chapter does is getting the younger members of our community involved. Our high school is separate. We have a high school and an elementary school. Our FFA is very involved with our elementary school. So many of the kids, like the sixth graders and fifth graders coming up, already know what FFA is because we have put in time and put in the effort to connect them with what FFA is before they've even entered the high school. So that is probably my favorite, and just helping out the younger members of our community.
Same question to you, Hazel.
So I love how our chapter incorporates a lot of like our community, also like the local businesses and stuff. So actually this year for our first time, we're putting on a career fair coming up in a few months. So we're really trying to incorporate everyone.
Final thing for me before you let you go, what's the one thing you've enjoyed most? It could be an event, it could be the social aspect, it could be something at the district level, at the state level. Hazel, what's the one thing that just stands up at the top during your time with the Hope Page chapter that you enjoyed the most?
So I've loved like everyone I've met in our chapter and outside of our chapter, and how much work and effort each member in our chapter puts in for everything. So like even though we have like a really new club and chapter, we've grown so much and like put in so much work.
Same question to you, Kennedy.
I don't know if I can honestly pick a favorite. There's too many good ones for me to choose from. But I think if I had to choose, it's probably state. It really teaches you a lot about how to be responsible and how to like grow up and keep track of your dorm room keys. Um, and just the people that I've met and the skills that I've learned, not only how to talk to people, the social aspect of it, but also skills about myself that I didn't know that I could do. State has just really helped flourish those skills.
And finally, Emersen, the same question to you.
I think that my favorite thing about FFA is more along the lines of what Hazel said. I mean, we're from a school with 60, 70 kids in it, and our chapter has what, like 20, 30. So we have pretty much half our school in our chapter, which is kind of cool to say. But yeah, I think my favorite part is just the relationships that you build with everyone you meet, and you're just able to come closer with everyone in your chapter.
Thank you three so much for your time, and best of luck here throughout the rest of the school year.
Thank you.
Join us now from the CentralCast FFA portion of our FFA show here on yourliveevent.com is Acelynn, a junior at CentralCast. And Acelynn, for you, just kind of what does FFA represent for you, and just kind of how did you get into the chapter?
FFA for me represents opportunities. The opportunities that this organization has held for everybody has just been amazing, even individually. I kind of got into FFA my 8th grade year. We took an 8th grade class, and from there, it's just been history. Like Miss Gress brought me to my first winter leadership conference at that time, and it's just never stopped since.
As you kind of take a look back at, FFA, what's one memory that stands out most? Is it something at the local level with Castleton, with your community, something at districts or state? What's a couple of memories that just kind of jump off the page with your chapter?
Yeah, so one of my biggest, my favorite memories was my Next Gen conference I attended this summer. I got to go to Minneapolis. That big theme of that conference was food science. It was really cool to get to go to do that. It was put on by National FFA, so it was a 3-day conference, and I got to go do that. Another really big one for me is getting elected as chapter president this year. Definitely a big goal of mine to have happen, and it was really cool to finally see that actually go through with that.
What does it mean for you to be the president this year, and kind of what have you learned from being the president of the chapter?
Yeah, so the biggest thing it means to me is being a role model for others. Showing as a leader for those younger members, showing that like this is a good organization to be into like become a part of. I've learned from it to very like time management skills has been a big one. Managing well what I do with my time, as well as being a leader in bigger situations. So having to lead meetings has been a big one. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I've learned from that.
Why should someone be part of FFA? I have been talking with members, and it's not just that you have to be in egg industry, so to speak, growing up on the farm. You can be someone who's physically a quote unquote city kid, as they say. But what is the reason here someone should join the FFA chapters?
I think somebody should join FFA for the opportunity. There's so many different ones that you could use, and like there's so many different people within it that work so hard to truly give you like everything that you could ever need in life. It prepares you for a career, whether it's in agriculture or not. Some of the skills that it teaches you has just been amazing, as well as the family. I think the family is probably the biggest part of this organization. The people in it are just amazing, and it's been great.
Acelynn, for you here, what's the community involvement like with Castleton and the surrounding area? Just kind of what have you been able to do with some of your chapters in terms of your chapter members, and what have you been able to do with Castleton kind of during your tenure? What have you enjoyed most about that community involvement?
We've done a lot with our community, especially like within our school has been a big one. Reaching down to those younger grades especially has probably been my favorite part. Or even reaching out to like our local newspaper has been really cool. Being able to like pick up the newspaper one day and see like an article about you or like an article that you've written that's in there has been really cool. Or even getting to go around and like deliver like sponsorship letters. That's just been amazing to get to reach out to those community leaders and like meet with them and see how they perceive FFA, not from a student perspective.
Is FFA for you more horticultural? Is it more talking about, live show, livestock type of thing? So what side of the aisle have you kind of taken FFA in your journey, or have you done a little bit of both?
I've done a little bit of horticulture, like floriculture. I competed in that at state. And then I also do egg sales. It's probably one of my favorite competitions. So that business side of it has been really cool. When I first entered FFA, I didn't really know that it was about like that business side of it, and getting to like see that it is about that has been really cool. Getting to compete in something that's not just about like farming and like cows and stuff like that. So it's been really cool to see that happen.
As a junior, I know you still got time to plan on kind of what your next chapter will be, in about 16 months or so. But is this something with FFA? Is this a product that you might want to go into in terms of more with egg, or is this some of the skills that you learned with you? Do you think you'll take with you whatever your next chapter will be, a year and a half from now?
Right, yeah. So I think I will definitely, I've been looking into kind of like the agricultural education side of it. That's been really intriguing. Getting to see my teacher has been really great. She's such an inspiration, like to see her and the way she interacts with the kids and instills the love for FFA with us has just been amazing. So it makes me want to do that for younger kids as well. And I definitely will take like the leadership skills that I've learned, as well as the time management has just been amazing. So those skills will definitely help me within my future career.
Final thing with Hannah there, your advisor slash teacher, just kind of what have you officially learned? I know you kind of talked about it a little bit, but what's some things that you've kind of learned under her?
Definitely interacting like in bigger situations. She took me to a few different meet and greets this year with some bigger senators that were there. That was really cool to get to. And she kind of like walked me through it, said like, this is what you need to do, like stay calm, like you are fine. Like her patience and her kindness, as well as like just her like overall attitude has just been like inspirational, and she teaches us a lot.
Acelynn, thanks so much for your time, and best of luck moving forward throughout the rest of the school year.
Yes, thank you so much.
Well, joining us now is Carli from the Central Cass FFA chapter. And for you, Carli, just take us through your journey. Just kind of how did you get involved into FFA, and just kind of take us through that timeline to where you are now as a junior here with Central Cass.
When I was a sophomore last year, my best friend was in FFA and I wasn't, and she really wanted me to join so she could have somebody with her. And she convinced me to join, same with my advisor. And it was a great experience to join and like learn what it was all about. And ever since I joined, I've just been involved because it's something that I really love to do and I really want to be involved in.
Able to get recruited. That's always a good thing with any particular chapter here. And for you too here, Carli, just taking a look at FFA, I guess what's the one thing you've learned, with your year plus being in this organization? What are some skills or some things that you've learned during your time?
One of the most important things that I've learned is you have to know how to get along with other people. FFA is a big team thing. And if you don't know how to get along with other people and take other people's opinions into account, you won't be able to be successful.
Yeah, networking definitely a big part of FFA and meeting people. Is that something that you've enjoyed the most about in terms of the different competitions or stuff that you're able to do at a district level, school level, state level? Is that something that kind of goes hand in hand with FFA a little bit here, Carli?
Yes, I love getting to meet new people and learning about new things and just hearing things I never would, not going to these events with people from all around the state. I love going to the events that have like even older people, like other advisors from other schools. It's great to meet all the people and learn new things from them.
Nice thing, it doesn't matter the age, you still got time if you're in high school, eighth grade. So why should someone join FFA, I guess, kind of from your perspective, whether they're an eighth grader, a junior, next year, why should someone give this organization a try?
FFA teaches and has taught me the most valuable things that I have ever learned through either school or general life. I've learned so much from FFA, how to be a leader, great career skills that I will need and use in my future. And I've learned, like I said, how to get along with other people.
Carli, what's a favorite moment for you? Is it something with the community involvement? Is it something at a district level? What's just been a moment or two that you've really enjoyed the most during your time here with FFA?
My favorite moment was at state convention this summer, competing in the floriculture CDE. It was my first time ever competing in any CDE or LDE, and I did very well, and it just will always stand out to me, and I will always remember it.
Take us through your advisor there with Hannah. Just what's something that you've kind of learned from her? What's something that you've kind of learned that you think that you'll take with you, that's not, so to speak, part of FFA, just part of your normal life?
I've learned from her that no matter who the person is, you have to just be understanding. You never know what somebody else is going through. If they're being not a good person or if they are being a good person, you just have to know that everyone's going through something and you have to treat everybody with respect.
So here's the question. You got recruited as a sophomore. Is there anybody on your short list to recruit to join FFA with some of your friends here going forward?
All my friends are in FFA. That's where I've gained a lot of friends from also.
We talked about networking. How much fun is it to talk with other chapters as much as, yes, you want to do this stuff with, Castleton and Central Cass communities, but how fun is it to branch out and see different memberships of the FFA? And have you had an opportunity to speak with a lot of different ones just in the, year plus that you've been a part of FFA here?
Yes, I have learned and talked to a bunch of different people from other chapters. It's great to hear what they do in their own chapter and at their own meetings and what they do with their advisor and all the events that they go to. I've learned a lot of tips and just little things about competitions from other people from different chapters, and it's helped me a lot in my own experience.
Final thing for me here, Carli, before I let you go, any competitions over the next year plus that you're looking forward to competing at?
I'm looking forward to floriculture again. That's my favorite.
Carli, thank you so much for your time and have a great rest of your school year.
Yeah, thank you.
Join us now from the Central Cass chapter is Melody with us here. Melody, similar question that I've talked with some of your classmates on is just take us through your involvement with FFA. How did you first get started with the chapter here in Castleton?
When I was in eighth grade, we had like interest classes every quarter, and ag class was one of mine. So that's when I kind of started learning about the ag industry and what FFA could do. Then when I was a freshman, I took intro to ag, and that's when I kind of just got signed up for an event and I became an FFA member.
Take us through just kind of the last, year plus that you've been able to be with this chapter. What's one thing that you've learned the most so far during your tenure with FFA?
I think something I learned the most within FFA is you don't have to be a farmer to fit in. Like you can be from the city and you can go to all the FFA meets and be a part of agriculture.
Is that a misconception with FFA? Because I hear that from other, chapter members, particularly those that maybe didn't grow up in agriculture, if their grandparents or parents, so to speak, didn't have a farm melody. Is that something that surprised you, I guess, to start with when you kind of learned that, hey, I don't have to, so to speak, live on the farm 24/7 to be part of the chapter?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised when I took an intro that she wanted me to be a part of FFA, especially because I had no background in agriculture at all. So kind of just being put into it, not being a part of a farm, really surprised me.
Take us through some of your favorite moments. What's a particular event, competition, or just something in general that you've enjoyed most with the local community out there in Castleton as well?
When I'm with our local community, I think my favorite is our monthly meetings when all of our FFA members get to come together and we get to talk about business, have food together, and play games sometimes. It just creates a really good sort of community within our chapter.
Uh, for you, why should someone give FFA a shot? You kind of gave us maybe a little bit example of your own personal journey here, Melody, but why should someone give FFA a shot, whether they're an eighth grader or maybe, going to be a senior or a junior next year?
I think someone should give FFA a shot because it does give you it gives you a lot of leadership and it does give you a lot of like ways to build communication amongst people and good connections when like you need something from someone else, like if you can talk to someone else, you have that amazing sort of connection within everyone.
Is there a particular competition that you like to perform in or compete in with the FFA chapter?
I really like agronomy. It's like a 3-hour test just of seeds and everything to do with agriculture. It's not
Different.
everyone's cup of tea, but it's fun.
Yeah, agronomy maybe is not always the number one that we've heard from people, but what makes agronomy different than egg sales or anything else, livestock or just in general, what makes kind of agronomy for you here, Melody, something that really stood out?
I think it's like you have to prepare a lot to be able to be successful in it. Like you can't just go in there and win. Like you have to study your seeds, you have to study your plant mounts, you have to study everything and then have a grueling 2-hour test about.
From that standpoint, what have you learned from your advisor, Hannah, during your time here with the FFA chapter?
I've learned that to be a leader from her and like how to lead a classroom even when like people aren't behaving, and it taught me like to look over everyone and like help them along when you're even like higher up against on them. I don't know how to say that. Like when you're supposed to be like leading them, you have to treat them with respect and not like you're looking down upon them, even if you're in a higher rank or something.
How important has it been for you just to network with, obviously, as you mentioned, your own community and your own chapter, but how important is it to you to also network with other people across the state, with this FFA chapter?
It's been really important because then when you go to an FFA competition, then you don't have to be with only your chapter and you can like expand to other chapters and you can have more friends and not just the people from your school.
Hey, Melody, thank you so much for your time and enjoy the rest of the school year.
Thank you.
Joining us now is Simon, part of our Central Cast FFA show here. And Simon, for you, just take us through your journey into FFA. How'd you kind of get involved and how long have you been involved with the local chapter there in Castleton?
So I initially thought about FFA when my brother was in it, and he was in it for about 2 years, and then he kind of dropped it. So I was kind of interested already, and then in my eighth grade year when I was able to join it, my advisor kind of pushed me towards going to winter leadership conference, and then it kind of just took off from there. And then I kept on going to more and more, and she kept on telling me to do more things, and I kind of started getting more and more involved, and still involved and pretty involved in everything that I do. So
is FFA part of the family? Like, were any part of your other siblings or mom and dad or anything of that nature part of it, or was kind of your brother the first one, and that's kind of really how you learned more about FFA?
yeah, it's kind of how my brother just joined it. My family, my mom and my dad weren't really in it. They didn't really know about it. And then once my brother joined, and then I joined, and then my sisters and brothers got really interested into it, and then they kind of followed along after me.
Take us through just some things that you've learned during your time with FFA chapter there in Castleton.
I've learned a lot of leadership skills and like communication skills and like talking to people and just meeting new people and how to be kind to everybody, lead by example, that type of stuff, and just be a good role model for other people.
What's the one favorite thing about FFA for you? If it's something with your local chapter, is it something when you're able to go to, state? What's one or two things that you really enjoy most about being an FFA member?
I really like going to different competitions, and like fall leadership conference is my favorite conference throughout the whole entire year. It just really teaches leadership, and like you get to communicate with people. There's no competition, so there's none of that stress of having to compete. And it's just one of my favorite events, and I encourage a lot of people to go to it. So.
Yeah, let's kind of go to my follow-up question. It seems like networking in FFA is always a big deal, whether it's at your local, central cast or talking with area members. So is that part of the reason kind of why you like that fall conference, just to get to talk with other chapters, get to talk with other members across the state here, Simon?
Yeah, that's the biggest reason why. Just there's no competition. You're not competing against anybody. You're just there learning about leadership skills, and there's all these chapters there that you can talk to, connect with, and you can get a lot of good ideas from other people.
Speaking of competitions, is there one in particular that you like to perform or compete in, or something that you're looking forward to, the next school year around here at the end of this school year?
Egg sales, the CDE, that's been my favorite CDE throughout the past couple of years, and I've just loved it. It's really fun, and it's just one of the simplest CDEs and easiest in my opinion.
What have you learned from your advisor, teacher Hannah there, kind of with FFA?
I've learned a lot of leadership, and just be kind to everyone like she is. She's always welcoming to people in our FFA chapter. She really just pushes everyone to, go out for those events, go out for those competitions, and, come to the FFA meetings. You might learn something, you might enjoy it, and that might bring up your FFA career, and it might change your life forever.
Why should someone, to that particular response, why should someone give FFA a shot? Why should someone come out for one of their local organizations, whether it's in Castleton or another school district?
I just think it would change your perspective on like FFA, and it might be something that you really, really like. And if you never try it or never go to a meeting, then you never know if you like it or not, and it could be the next thing that you just do for the rest of your high school career.
Final question for me, just through what you've kind of learned during your couple of years with FFA here, Simon, is there one particular element that you kind of use in your everyday lifestyle, or something you're able to use in the classroom from a skill that you kind of, were able to learn through the group and through the chapter?
Leadership and communication is kind of what I use every single day. I talk to my classmates, my teachers, and other people that aren't from my school, and then I just try and lead everyone in all my other sports, and also some class time. So,
Simon, thank you so much for your time, and enjoy the rest of the school year.
Thank you.
Honor Your Live event FFA chapter show. We are taking a look at Hillsboro FFA, joined by a couple of ladies that joined us last year on the chapter show. They're going to tell us about their experience over the last year. And Hadley Abentroth, Mackenzie Potasic, and ladies, just kind of feel free to jump in whenever. Again, we had you on last year, so thanks for coming back and being a glutton for punishment, or however you want to say that. But tell us about the last year at FFA and kind of some of the things that you both did, and some of the experiences you had.
So we did this fall, we competed in parliamentary procedure, did that, and then last winter we did livestock judging, and went to the state, or the winter CD state, and then I think in June we competed in meats judging at the summer, I guess, CDs in Fargo. So yeah.
Well, like last year, I think the biggest thing was experiencing everything, and just like learning different things about different events and what each different like season CDEs are about. And so like last year, I think our big thing was just going to going to all the different events and experiencing them and just kind of seeing how everything else works. And more so like this year is kind of like, well, now we know what to expect. And so we can work on things that maybe we weren't so strong in last year. And so I think that's like really one of the big differences between this year and last year is last year was more so to experience it, meet new people, just kind of feel the situation out. Well, this year we know what to expect so we can like practice and work a little harder towards the events we're in.
Want to go back to something, Hadley, that you mentioned. You ladies experienced this last year in parliamentary procedure. Of course, you mentioned as well livestock judging, meats judging. That's pretty self-explanatory. But to the average person, I think parliamentary procedure, they go, "What? What's that?" So kind of explain what the contest is and how you prepare for it.
Yeah, so parliamentary procedure, it's like kind of like a meeting basically. She was the president.
It's parliamentary procedure is the way like meetings are run. Like it's not just used in FFA and like high corporate business meetings. They have to follow parliamentary procedure, the rules of it, Robert's Rules of Order. Like even at the school board meeting, you're supposed to follow the Robert's Rules of Order, parliamentary procedure. So it's not necessarily just involved in FFA. It's where like you get taught it, but like it's used in all of big important meetings as well. So what it is you have your like what is it, six or seven?
Yep.
Your officers, so like your president, vice president, sentinel, secretary, treasurer, advisor, reporter, all of those people. And you basically the president, they're the one that kind of runs the meeting, but you have to follow a certain set of rules. And so like you'll get a motion. And so someone will create the motion and then the other officers can say like they can amend it, then like discuss about it, but it's pretty much having a meeting that has to stay in a certain category of rules.
Yeah, awesome. And I know a little bit of a sidetrack on that again. FFA, not just preparing you to, be around livestock or be around crops, but to be around people as well. And I believe, if I have this right, the both of you were part of the legislative forum that was recently held this last weekend or earlier this month, I'll say, in Hillsborough. Kind of talk about that experience and what's your takeaway from that?
Well, first of all, it was a very, very cool opportunity that we got to moderate the meeting as sophomores. But, I think like one of the biggest things was like having the confidence to talk in front of people and just like moderating the meeting, like really came from FFA because you have to learn, you're going to have to communicate to people. You're going to have to, some people, you might have to tell some people they need to settle down. And it teaches you how you got to be in charge and take leadership in places where leadership needs to be. So
definitely, I thought it was a really cool opportunity that we were able to do that. And yeah, I think it was very good. So.
And I think we both learned a lot about like more of how the government works and all that. And it was kind of cool because a lot of the bills that were being talked about had to deal with agriculture. So that was kind of cool too.
When we talked to the both of you last year, I believe it was our Preston DeVille, asked if you knew kind of what you wanted to do for your career or for your aspirations, if you wanted to stay in agriculture, agribusiness, agripolitics, things like that. And the both of you weren't quite sure what you wanted to do yet. So now that another year has passed, is that still the case? Are you still exploring, still trying to figure out what you want to do, or do you have a clear idea of what you want your life to look like?
I want to become a dental hygienist. That's my number one. That's what I want to focus on, but I also want to minor in egg business. So my priority is going to be to get my dental hygiene degree, but then I also want to go back and get an egg business degree.
Yeah, personally for me, I want to go somewhere in the agricultural industry. My mom's worked there for so long and even my aunt. So definitely want to go somewhere in there. Just don't know quite where.
Of course, you ladies still have a couple of years left in your FFA experiences. I know FFA can extend after high school as well. What are some of the things you're still hoping to experience that you haven't yet in FFA?
I think one of the biggest things I'm hoping to experience is for our chapter to win an award or win at the higher up, because the best right now we've done is bronze. So keep maybe even winning a silver or a gold. Just keep improving. And I hope, like personally, I keep meeting more people and keep learning more about the agricultural industry and all it has to offer. And
Yeah, just getting our chapter higher up because really last year we started it back up and we just kind of went with it. So just trying to get our chapter higher up and yeah.
Tell me about your experiences at the very beginning of your FFA experience. So was it a teacher? Was it a family member? Hailey, you mentioned your mom has worked in USDA. Kind of what got you both into FFA? What got you interested in the first place?
Definitely, like my mom, she really pushed to get us to go to FFA because she's always been in FFA. So personally, my mom and yeah, she just really pushed me to go.
Well, I've grown up like around agriculture my entire life, and I'm huge support of it. I love the egg industry, but actually, my dad was the old egg teacher and FFA advisor before Mr. Reese was, and my grandpa was an FFA advisor. So FFA has been in my family for a long time. So like they just kind of encouraged me to like give it a try, and my dad was always telling me stories of when they went to national convention and all the CDE stuff and how like fun it is and like the the takeaways from it and the people you meet and all of that. And I'm a people person. I like to talk. So I was like, I might as well try it. So
Have either of you been to the national convention before?
nope.
No.
We were supposed to go last year, but then it ended up not working out. But I think this year we get to, even if we don't qualify, I think we get to go as a chapter just to experience it. So
And I imagine you both are looking forward to that experience. I believe Indianapolis, kind of Indianapolis area is where that's held.
Yep.
Yep.
So what would you want to do most at the national convention?
I don't know. There's a lot there. I don't know. I think my first year I would just like to go and see everything. My mom's she's went for her work a bunch of times, so she's been showing me pictures and how fun it looks. So I think just to go and experience it would be really cool.
Yeah, I think just experiencing it would be pretty cool. Like I think if I had to compete there, I would be scared. I'd be very nervous. But I mean, it would be a very cool like opportunity, and I would love to compete there. But I think I'd like to experience it first.
Well, FFA, talk about experience. I'm sure, based on you both being here once again today, it's a highlight of your high school life. I'm sure maybe that there may be some parents of some children that may be interested, or even kids themselves watching this. They're thinking, you know what, I might like to give that a try. What's your words of wisdom, words of advice to those future FFA members?
I would say, if you're unsure about it, just try it because you'll never know until you try something. And FFA, there's so much more to it than just agriculture. Like say you don't want to deal with the livestock. You can do crop judging. There's egg business stuff. There's so many different categories and events that you can participate in. So if you're really against one thing, I can almost guarantee you'll find another thing that will interest you. And like I said, you learn so many valuable life lessons. The people you meet is just amazing. And FFA overall is just a great organization to be a part of. So my advice would be, if you're unsure about it, just try it because you'll never know until you try something.
Yeah, really just what she says. There's so much more of FFA than just the animal part of it or agriculture. It's all about agriculture, and so there's so much more into FFA. So I think just for people to give it a try and take that extra step to go and try it would be really good. So we're always trying to get more people to join, even just in our school. So that would be super cool.
Ladies, anything else you want to mention about Hillsborough FFA in this FFA month, FFA week? Anything else you want to mention to promote Hillsborough FFA?
That, like I said, if you're unsure about it, go for it because you might end up loving it. And there's so many cool opportunities that you can get through FFA that you might not realize you could get. So,
and there's so much friends, and you make so many new friends, and you meet so many new people that just sometimes you're going to meet your best friend. You never know. So.
That's Mackenzie Potasic on the left, Hadley Abentroth on the right, both sophomores, correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. From Hillsborough FFA joining us on our FFA chapter show here on your live event. Ladies, thanks for sharing your time today. Thanks for talking about Hillsborough FFA. And as always, rock those blue and gold jackets, right?
Yes, thank you.
And right now, the Carrington FFA chapter officers are joining us here on yourliveevent.com. And we're highlighting the FFA chapters around the region here on YLE. And they're going to let us know on why they joined FFA and their roles and everything, and what inspires them about FFA, and probably help them in the future too, future endeavors as well. So joining us here, left to right, we got Isabel Wendell. She is the president for the Carrington FFA chapter. Also next to her is Molly Hanson. She is a secretary. Abby Lee is joining us as well. She's the reporter. Bailey Ness is the treasurer, and Sierra Freet is the vice president. So we're going to ask questions here. Isabel Wendell, you're going to be up first, and we'll just kind of go down the line. So Isabel, first question is for you. What inspired you to join FFA?
Yeah, growing up, I've always kind of been around like the agricultural world. We had beef cattle growing up, and I was part of the 4-H and showed livestock at the county fair. So when I came to school freshman year, I knew FFA was something I wanted to do and something that I would be familiar with and that I could excel in.
For me personally, both my parents were in FFA. My mom is also one of our current FFA advisors at Carrington. And so, I mean, I guess it was kind of a given that I would probably be in FFA, but personally, I did want to join FFA just because I knew of all the benefits that it gave to students and how it could benefit my future career path, specifically because I want to go into the ag industry.
For me, I have 4 older siblings that have all participated in the FFA, and they all greatly enjoyed it. And I also come from a very agricultural background, and I did 4-H when I was younger, and 4-H and FFA kind of go very hand in hand, so they overlap.
For me, I grew up around agriculture just like everyone else, and Abby actually convinced me to start competing and stuff, and I just kind of fell in love with it.
For me, I guess I really enjoyed my ag classes as a freshman and just being able to learn hands-on. And FFA obviously opened doors to so many more opportunities to do that for me. And the contest areas that I've done have developed me as a leader, but also are just very enjoying for me to do as well. So yeah, that's kind of why I got involved too.
Okay, awesome job. Isabel, what's your favorite aspect of FFA?
Ooh, that's a tough question. There's a lot of things to like. On the competitive side, I really appreciate just how competitive FFA can be. You know, being part of contests and being able to compete is something a lot of young people like to do. And I'm very competitive. So I like to, put my time and effort into practicing a skill and becoming good at it and then displaying my talent. But I also really enjoy the community involvement that we do, the community service projects. We really tried to hone into that this year. And it's been a lot of fun and very rewarding, I think, for our chapter and for all of our members.
Yeah, I have to agree with a lot of what Isabel said, especially about the competitive events. So we have career development events and leadership development events, which I personally have gotten very involved in. And being in a chapter like Carrington, we're very successful. So we often have the opportunity to attend the National FFA convention and have seen a lot of success, which being a competitive person is always really enjoyable. And I also have to say that I enjoy getting to meet new people from across the state. FFA gives you a great opportunity to broaden your horizons and make connections with other people that can last a lifetime.
FFA has really led into a lot of new experiences for me. I went to Indianapolis and Washington for the first time with the chapter, and it was just really interesting to meet new people, and I enjoyed doing the different leadership things that we do and giving back to the people in our community.
My favorite part of FFA is probably the competitive events. I'm a really competitive person. I grew up playing sports and just being involved in competitive play, and this was just one thing that I really liked about FFA in general. I also really like getting to meet new people and just talking with them and getting to see what they're all about.
Yeah, for me, I mean, like 6 years ago, I would have never thought I would have joined FFA, but it's obviously been one of the greatest decisions of my life. I've just learned so much. And my favorite aspects are just being able to develop my qualities each time I pick up another event and kind of broaden my horizons that way. And being able to travel the US with obviously other FFA members and have that common ground. And I've honestly found so many amazing people that are now my best friends through FFA.
All right, awesome. Isabel, describe a memorable experience from a FFA competition or event.
Yeah, there's a few, but I would have to say the most memorable for me was the time I got to go on stage for the National Agricultural Communications Contest. I found out the day before that I made the top 10 high individuals, and that was right in between volleyball districts and volleyball regionals. So we had to move around a bunch of flights and do all this just so I could be able to experience that. So it was just surreal almost. When thinking back about it, I almost don't have any words to describe that feeling. It was just exhilarating almost.
Yeah, I actually had a similar experience to Isabel this year at the national convention. I made the top 10 individuals in livestock evaluation, along with our team made the top 4. And I guess the best part about that for me was that my mom and my aunt actually placed 8th in the same contest when they were in it, and I got 7th. So I guess I have that up on them. And we weren't really expecting it. And in the end now, we actually received news that we get a trip to Scotland for our efforts to do a national livestock judging contest. And so I think that will be really fun as well.
For me, I have not placed at nationals, but freshman year on the way back, or sophomore year on the way back from national convention, it wasn't fun in the moment, but it was very memorable. Our bus got stuck and we had to spend an extra day, and it was just kind of a fun thing that we got to do with our chapter. And it may not have been fun in the moment, but it's fun to look back on.
I think the most memorable moment is just being able to go to DC this summer and experience a whole different thing, rooming with random people for a week and meeting all these people from across the US. And the only thing that we had in common really when we first met was FFA. And I think that's just so memorable that we got to fly out all together and spend an entire week exploring DC.
I agree with Hailey. Actually, WLC was probably one of the most memorable moments for me in FFA. Like she said, rooming with random people was definitely very scary. When we all heard that at first, we were like, okay, we kind of want to leave. But after we kind of got settled in, my roommates actually became some of my best friends, and we're still in touch today. But it was really just amazing to be able to see the monuments and explore Washington. And it's a once in a lifetime experience, and I'm glad I got to live it out.
Okay, awesome. One more question before we let you go here. What do you think, or how do you think FFA prepares you for your future career?
Yeah, there's a lot of great things about FFA that really prep for our future. And I think a lot of that comes with the personal qualities that I have developed throughout FFA. The main one being public speaking. When I started FFA, I was very nervous and kind of got some anxiety when I had to even think about speaking to a crowd. And through the events that I've done, the competitions, being an officer, I've just grown so much in my public speaking abilities, and I can now confidently go in front of anyone, any crowd, group, small, large, and I can say what I need to say and say it efficiently. And I think that's a very good skill to have. And I would also have to say being proactive and how FFA makes you get involved. It's a year-round thing. So you get to choose how much you want to put into FFA. And I think developing that level of understanding, knowing how much you can handle and how much you can't, is a good management skill to have as well.
I agree with a lot of what Isabel said. I think the personal development and preparing not only for a future career, but college and life in general is very beneficial. I personally want to go into something in agriculture and livestock specifically. And so having that previous experience plus my ag education classes like livestock production, as well as the FFA event livestock evaluation, will benefit me greatly. I also have to say that directly compared to other school organizations, FFA is a year-round thing, and there are always different events that we're going to and different things within the school that we are doing. And so it definitely helps prepare you for setting priorities and, keeping your schedule on track, because as a busy high schooler, you have to understand that life's only going to get busier. And so FFA really helped me to balance that. And also I would have to say just working with other people, working as a team, these officers right here, and then our 5 other officers, we may not all come from the same background or have the same interests, but being able to work together is one skill that I'll always cherish.
Well, for me personally, FFA has helped me to kind of pick the career path that I want to go on. And I want to go and become an agriculture education teacher. And without FFA, I wouldn't have been able to make that decision. And doing FFA has helped me to expand on what I will be doing in my future career, and just learning all the different things like public speaking, getting better at that, and like team building things, and just so many things.
I personally don't want to go into agriculture, but I do want to go into the healthcare field. And the one thing that FFA has really helped me with is just being able to do things on the spot and just work on my feet and be able to do well in high stress situations. Like during competitions, I get nervous still, and just being able to just calm down and be able to perform how I know I can really helps set me up for the healthcare field.
I think FFA really set me up for success in just like my communication. I've competed in agricultural communications and employment skills, and both of those events just really transformed how I perform as a speaker and my confidence in myself and how I project to people as well. And so I think FFA, obviously it's different for all of us what we get out of it, but I think public speaking and communication is probably one of the biggest things. It forces you out of your shell, but in an environment where you can learn and process that information quickly too, and develop your skills all around as a leader.
Awesome. Thanks so much. You guys did great. I appreciate it. And thanks for joining us here on yourliveevent.com. And yeah, thanks for everything you do in FFA. I'm sure, yeah, it's a lot, plus your schoolwork, you got to do that and juggle everything, FFA and extracurricular. So yeah, but you guys do a great job. Thanks so much for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, you too.